Welcome back to the deep dive. You know how we often talk about the power of leverage? Well, today we are diving into a really high stakes, raw negotiation, one where the leverage had to become, well, absolute because trust had just completely evaporated. Our sources give us this extraordinary, almost uncomfortable snapshot. It's an audio excerpt dated December 30th, 2024. And it captures this critical moment where a known scammer, Ghazala Din, she's trying to negotiate her way out of, well, legal and financial ruin. And this is after she's already failed to honor previous formal commitments. So our mission today is to really zoom in on this exchange. We're trying to understand the calculus. What happens when you're dealing with someone who's proven they can't be trusted. It forces the negotiation beyond contracts straight to collateral. Yeah, and the opening of this audio, it sets this almost surreal tone, doesn't it? I mean, despite all the harm she's already caused, Ghazala starts the call with this bizarre casualness, asking,
Hello.
yeah,
You fine? You okay?
it's an immediate attempt to sort of feign normalcy, maybe establish some kind of emotional baseline. It's a classic tactic, really, used when the speaker knows they have absolutely zero credibility left.
It's unnerving, right? Like she's
Mhm.
trying to normalize a completely catastrophic situation.
Exactly.
But the victim, he doesn't play along at all. You hear him cut straight to the core issue. He just says plainly, how are we moving forward with this now?
Hmm.
They aren't discussing if she'll pay. The question is how she's going to secure this last chance she wants.
That's right. He immediately signals that the previous day's negotiation, and we'll definitely get into that, had already set the groundwork. He doesn't entertain her opening pleasantries for even a second. The leverage is already applied. She's just there to finalize the terms of her, well, her surrender, essentially. Okay, so let's unpack her immediate appeal then. She asks for a concession, frames it as the last one, right? Her final
Yeah,
chance.
that's one.
And she asks for a specific grace period, a couple of weeks and stuff. But the really interesting part, I think, is what she demands the victim do in return for this new promise.
Oh, absolutely. That demand is so revealing because it shows exactly where the pressure point is for her right then. She asks him, please stop trying to find out all these people and stuff like you're doing.
Hmm.
And this tells us two things straight away. First, okay, the victim is actively investigating her network, her connections, whatever.
Right.
And second, that investigation is causing her way more trouble, or maybe fear, than the immediate financial threat.
Yeah.
She needs that digging to pause, urgently.
But this request, it just flies completely in the face of their history, doesn't it? The victim immediately brings up the fundamental reason why trust is at absolute zero.
Yeah, he doesn't hesitate.
He says, even in writing, you agreed with my lawyer. That's a legal document we've got to take to court, and you didn't honor that.
And this is such critical context for you, the listener. We're not talking about, a failed handshake deal or a missed verbal deadline here.
No.
She has already breached a formal legal document, something agreed upon with his attorney. This completely establishes the absolute limit of her credibility.
Exactly.
If she won't honor a contract that could be immediately taken to court,
Yeah.
why on earth would she honor some new vague promise for just, what, a few weeks of grace?
So yeah, if the legal agreement meant nothing, what's she offering now that's supposed to be better? I mean, she gives this quick, almost weak apology. I didn't, but please just give me this last one. But you can tell the victim is just not moved by words anymore.
And he shouldn't be,
Yeah.
right? That failed contract means the entire burden of proof has shifted onto her.
Mm-hmm.
She needs to provide something irreversible this time.
Okay.
And that brings us to the financial proposal she tries to float. So it's sort of a replacement plan.
Yeah.
She says, what if I negotiate with you 50 grand a month, $50,000 every month?
Okay, 50 grand a month. On the surface, that might sound like a pretty hefty commitment.
It does initially.
But the victim's response just tells you everything immediately. He rejects instantly, almost with derision. He says, you've been saying stuff like that for how long?
Exactly. That $50 K offer is dismissed,
Yeah.
not because it's necessarily a small number in itself, but because it's a recycled promise. He's heard it before,
Right.
which implies really strongly that the total debt must far, far exceed what she could possibly pay off in any reasonable time frame at that rate, especially if this negotiation is also factoring in losses for other people too.
Ah, speaking of other people, this is where the scope of this scam just blows up, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The victim introduces this crucial external pressure. He mentions the 100 people of God. We need to clarify this for the listener. Who are these 100 people? What's their involvement here?
Yeah, that phrase, the 100 people of God, it strongly suggests they're a collective group of victims, likely connected through some kind of community, maybe shared faith, although we can't confirm a formal religious tie just from this source. But the significance is their sheer number and their concerted, almost decentralized efforts to recover their funds or get information.
So it's not just him she has to worry about.
Not at all. This is a massive, complex dynamic unfolding. The threat isn't just a single lawsuit from the victim on the phone. It's like a swarm of angry, actively investigating individuals.
That makes total sense. The sheer volume of people means the consequences of her deceit are now, well, exponential. And the victim uses this perfectly to dismantle her request for him to back off.
He does.
He tells her directly, I can't control what they're doing, and he notes that these 100 people are actively looking around and trying to find out information.
And that is her real crisis point.
Mm-hmm.
Ghazala Din can try to negotiate with the one man on the phone, maybe. But she cannot negotiate with the collective intelligence, the anger, the resources of 100 highly motivated victims all digging around.
Wow.
The victim's inability, or maybe unwillingness, to stop their investigation becomes his greatest leverage. Him granting her a last chance doesn't mean the external pressure cooker turns off.
No.
It just means he might pause his official action for a bit. But those 100 other people, they're still out there digging.
So, okay. She's asking for a temporary reprieve, but the debt is clearly massive, his trust is completely gone, and this external investigation is basically unstoppable.
Yep, that's the situation.
This is why the negotiation pivots so violently away from just words, verbal promises, even those failed written contracts.
Precisely. If we understand that the previous legal contract was just ignored, the victim needed something else. Something that wasn't just legally binding on paper, but immediately, practically enforceable.
Right. Not just a right to sue later.
Exactly. He needed assurance that she couldn't just, disappear or liquidate everything and run.
And that's what leads us to the really explosive detail. The agreement they apparently reached just the day before this call. The victim confirms the absolute security measure they discussed. Yesterday, we agreed you put your houses on my name.
Houses. Plural.
Plural.
This is the moment. This is where the discussion just leaves the realm of financial promises entirely and enters the realm of, property law and ultimate leverage.
Yeah.
Transferring the title of real estate, even temporarily, it's an extraordinary step. It completely bypasses the need for a long, drawn-out lawsuit to maybe seize assets years down the line.
Right.
It gives the victim immediate, tangible control.
Okay, but I have to ask, maybe like a listener would, if you already had a legal document she ignored, why is transferring the house title immediately so much better? Couldn't she just fight that transfer later? Maybe claim she was forced into it under duress?
That's a really crucial question. And the difference is all about immediacy and control. That previous legal contract, it just gave the victim the right to sue her and then eventually maybe garnish wages or seize assets. But that's a process, right? It can take years of litigation, appeal.
Right, lots of time and money.
Exactly. Transferring the title, even if it's meant to be temporary, gives the victim immediate legal ownership. Now, sure, she could certainly challenge it later in court, claim duress, whatever. But think about it. The victim's legal team now holds the ultimate proof of her supposed willingness to cooperate the actual transfer deed. It completely shifts the burden of proof, the effort, the cost. It all falls on her if she tries to get those houses back before fulfilling whatever new agreement they make.
Wow, okay, so she's essentially trading her most valuable or probably least liquid asset, her homes, for just those couple of weeks of peace from the official proceedings, at least from him.
Pretty much.
And you hear her justification in the audio trying to make sense of it. She says, that's your reassurance. Yeah, because you know I'm not going to sell them.
She's trying to rationalize the sheer absurdity of the situation she's put herself in, isn't she? She's basically admitting that paper promises, even legal ones from her, are worthless now. Only physical property, something tangible and valuable, can possibly guarantee her sincerity or at least guarantee consequences if she fails again. She's hoping that by demonstrating this incredibly high level of commitment, the victim will finally believe she actually intends to pay that $50,000 a month.
Even though he already dismissed that payment structure as basically irrelevant or insufficient just moments before.
Exactly. The payment plan seems almost beside the point now. It's all about the collateral.
So what about the legal logistics of that transfer then? Is she just giving the houses away forever? Is that the deal?
No, or at least that's not how she tries to frame it. She clarifies it, tries to position it as a temporary kind of legal lockup. She says, once you've done whatever you have to, then you can have them back on your name. So simple as that.
Simple as that.
Right, which implies the transfer is temporary and conditional, purely